movement with spoken word and with the idea of words in particular. And specifically, Kahari's piece of the workshop talked about skin color and combined that with the how we limit ourselves, allow ourselves to be limited by outside forces in terms of what our identity is. I'm white. Well, am I white? I'm white as regards privilege in this country, in this racialized mythology. But my color isn't actually white. And so, and as he said, he's black, but he's not black. He's never seen black on his skin. He's brown. And so we went through this process of, you know, the students and staff, of describing our color and retaking our identities and determining what our color identity is without minimizing or losing the reality of privilege, racism, and the effects thereof in our society. So that venue was limited more than Out Loud because it was a workshop with 6 hours in total. But it also, they did what they were, what the hope was, and that was to get a conversation started and to provoke some consideration and reflection on how we are limited by our environment and by labels that are applied to us. And I think that Kahari has a lens that is valuable and is something that can help educators and help students to really investigate who they are and what their identity is, and also to keep the quality high. You know, he really was demanding, and in a way that invited students in, and the students wanted to do better. So, you know, I would hire Kahari again. Most likely will hire Kahari again, and certainly would recommend anyone to consider his talents for their school. Thanks.
Okay, it's rolling.
Okay. Here's my endorsement and recommendation for how I feel about Kahari's work as an educator. And I'm really happy to offer a recommendation because I think it's really great for our kids. Kahari has a talent and a gift that many audiences would benefit by. My knowledge of his work on the two projects I witnessed over this spring, 2013, were terrific. I met Kahari in March of 2013 via an arts outreach program designed to attract students who don't typically find a forum for their voices in our high school. This was designed by the Director of Equity for our school district. Kahari was a spoken word poet hired to work with the students, and there were choreographers and dancers involved in this group as well. I immediately recognized that we were all in for an experience with high potential for a deeply personal and transformational process. Most of the students were used to being overlooked, marginalized for a multitude of reasons, including some externally imposed judgments, prejudices, family and personal trauma, and some self-imposed restrictions, some self-imposed visions, and just a general lack of confidence, kind of the border kids. Kahari Kahari engaged students by being direct with them, probing what they wanted to say and giving them ways and reasons to think critically about their word choices. He let them know that he valued their stories and that he highly respected the process of storytelling and that he was committed to supporting them and that he wasn't going away. He was there. He was committed to supporting them in developing their pieces to reflect most clearly the passions, pain, despair, joy, commitment, racism, prejudice, marginalization, justice, and humor that their writing portrayed. He welcomed input from staff as well. I felt that I was welcomed to be part of the process, and my input and help was valuable and appreciated, and that really made a difference in my wanting to show up. I was doing this as a volunteer, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to be a part of the magic that was happening every Wednesday after school when Kahari came in and the kids showed up and the struggle began over their pieces and over whether or not they were going to perform their own pieces and word choices and was it good enough and fear of going ahead and reading in front of the group. And Kahari just really kept everybody on track and kept everybody focused on being genuine and authentic. And I think that was something that you can't create that trust unless you believe in the person who is kind of in charge of the creative tenor of the group. Kahari welcomed me as an addition to the group, rather than an eruption to his goals and his agenda. And he didn't seem bothered when I would offer input. His art form was revealed in the way that he practices arts education. Each session became a performance piece through the critique process of dissecting words, requiring voices to be lifted, risks to be taken, and vulnerability experienced. It was all the reward of a supportive family that was created over the 2 months of sessions. Most students didn't know each other, and that allowed for new relationships and really new personas to be expressed without having to live up to a history of or previous labels. Students didn't expect to perform their own poetry. They really thought they could submit poetry and somebody else would do the performance. And they had been told that by the creator of the program. That became a bit of an issue at the beginning, and kids were really balking at it. And there wasn't a hard and fast law laid down, but Kahari just kept persistently and directly, but with compassion and with assurance that the students would be happier with their pieces if they were performing their own stories, because no actor could do the performance as well because they didn't know the piece, they didn't know the work, and it would be more authentic. This was challenging because these pieces were very personal. Some of them were extremely personal, and it took a lot of courage for students to even contemplate getting up in front of their peers and performing and speaking their stories. So Kahari's gift and talent was in sharing his expectation for them to perform their work so that it was their voice that was heard throughout the school. He was able to convey and earn the students' and staff's trust that they could do this. The opportunity was not to be squandered or missed, he said. And, you know, he really brought that sense to our group that, you know, this was really an incredible opportunity, that many, many people would not have this opportunity in their public school education. Students wanted to earn his respect and kudos because they were experiencing, many for the first time, the deeply felt affirmation, satisfaction, and victory over fear that comes with speaking one's truth to a respectful and really a hungry audience, hungry to hear people's stories, authentic stories. Race is another advantage in why I highly recommend Kahari as an arts educator. I work in a high school that's 80% white, 15% Latino, and 3% Black, and 2% other. We have a small number of Black educators, so none of us have an opportunity to learn from highly skilled professionals of color. Learn from and really just interact. For whites like me and the white students, this offers growth opportunities rare in our majority white high school. And for students and staff of color, it offers, I think, from my white perspective, an opportunity for affirmation, hope, and understanding that simply can't come from a white teacher. I'm the sponsor of a club. The second time that I interacted with Kahari was with the club that I sponsor, HP3. I'm the sponsor of that club that addresses and unpacks issues of race, white privilege, and equity. And every year for the last 6 years, we have a retreat where we go and camp out for 2 nights. And I invite diversity workshop presenters and also people from the arts. So there are people who do dance workshops. So after my experience with Kahari and Ayega Jeff, I thought these great guys would be amazing to come to the retreat and present 2 workshops where we actually combined the dance, choreography, performance, body movement,